Alright, so we are live. We are officially live. Tuning in for the live session. We'll just start off in a couple of minutes. I'm just making sure that everything is set before we are ready. Just a couple of minutes. Hi, Sanjana. Good evening. Alright, so the division PR team is joining one by one. Hello, guys. I hope I'm audible. I hope everything is okay so far. Just let me know in case you are not able to hear me or in case there is any issue coming up. Just let me know. Hi, Abhishek. Just wait for the clock to hit exactly 8, and that is when we're going to start off. Just probably wait for a couple more people to join. 'Cause- Hi, Sanjana. We are sharing the link on every channel meanwhile. Sounds good. We are at 7:58 right now. Let's see, depending on the number of people who perhaps tuned in by that time, because there is hardly anybody, then I'm not sure if there is a point of starting on time if there is hardly anybody. I 7:59, another minute. Hi Naresh, good to see you. Alright, so people are joining. Hi Bhardwaj, good to see you. Okay, we've hit it, and there is a considerable number of people who have joined. So I'll start off. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible to everybody. If there is any discrepancy, any issue that comes up, since I cannot access my Facebook Live right now, I would suggest you to just directly give me a call and text me on WhatsApp because that's where I'm available. So hello everybody, good evening. My name is Toastmaster Arjuna, and I warmly welcome you to the second episode of the second season of Tuesday Tuition, titled The Power of PowerPoint. Just to give you a little bit of brief about myself, my name, as I said, is Arjuna. I have been a Toastmaster. I will be completing 2 years of my Toastmasters journey in December. And speaking about any design experience or any PowerPoint experience that I have had in the past, I have been working on PowerPoint since almost the last 7 years. And I'm not a professional per se, but I have, in my due journey of working across with PowerPoint, I've just found it to be a very useful tool. I have been designing things. I have had a keen interest for design for a very long time, ever since I was in school. And I used to take part or partake in design activities all throughout my school and college life also. But it's only after I came into Toastmasters that I actually understood the value of design and how you convey messages simply by visuals. And I had the opportunity to explore PowerPoint to the fullest, and which brings me to a stage where I can share my learnings or I can share my insight into PowerPoint with the help of today's tuition. So just let me have another look. Are we okay? Hi, Saikiran. Should we start off? Can somebody from the team just give me an indication if you're good to start off? Anybody from the team? Abhishek, Sanjana, Disha, if anybody is here, can you just give me an indication if you're good to start off? Okay. Something. Hi, Devi. Good to see you. Okay. So Abhishek tells me that I'm good to start off, so I will start off. Now, as I said, today we will be exploring the power that a tool like PowerPoint holds. Now, PowerPoint is primarily known as a tool which is used to create presentations. So we simply take objects and dump it into one container, and we arrange them in whichever way which looks the most visually appealing, and we just present it and we're good to go, right? Now, PowerPoint, in my opinion, is a tool which can be used for various things and for designing various collaterals under various capacities. And I hope today's session sort of serves as an eye opener as to how much flexibility PowerPoint as a tool actually has to offer. So we are starting off at 8 o'clock. 8 to, I think, for the next 10-15 minutes, I'll just talk about PowerPoint as a tool. Then we are just going to create something on our own, just a sample design using PowerPoint and the tools that we have talked about, just so that I can show you the functionalities that you can achieve. And in the last couple of minutes, that is another 5-10 minutes, we devote to creating the final output of the design. And then after 9 o'clock, we can start taking, probably if there are any questions, any doubts, then for the next 10 minutes, we can just wrap that up and I can leave you guys to have your dinner. So, all right, starting off. So, talking about the power of PowerPoint, as I said, it's a very flexible tool, and there is a lot that you can achieve by means of a simple tool called PowerPoint. And dividing this particular functionality into two parts, if I had to, was that PowerPoint is a very powerful tool to create things, and obviously, it is a very powerful tool when it comes to presenting content. So, if I were to divide the power of PowerPoint into two things, it would be into the power to create and the power to present what you have created. Now, just to give you a simple distinction between these two terms, power to create can be create anything, not just presentations per se. You can create posters, you can create printable items, you can actually create full end-to-end printable handbooks or things like that just by using PowerPoint. And power to present is completely related to a presentation perspective or a presentation point of view, right? After learning just how much you can do with PowerPoint, I'm still not confident. I do not know 100% of the tool. But after learning and creating things simply with the use of PowerPoint, there are often instances when I am asked this question, that did you make that using only PowerPoint? I mean, is it possible that you use only PowerPoint and create something which has so much which you wouldn't know how to do in PowerPoint otherwise? So it's a question that I come across a lot, which probably served as the motivation for me to take this session, that there is so much that you can do with PowerPoint, which is why it is important to understand just how much you can do with PowerPoint. So my aim is to have a series of 2 Tuesday tuitions around it. One on this Tuesday on how we can explore the power to create, that is, create different things with the use of different tools that PowerPoint has to offer. And the second session will be completely focused on creating amazing presentations, PowerPoint presentations using PowerPoint and using the functionalities of the tools that we come across today. So that the next time when you create something on PowerPoint, people ask you the same question. Did you make that using only PowerPoint? I don't believe you, right? So today, basically, we are going to talk about a couple of things. We are going to talk about the tool, that is PowerPoint. we're going to I am going to give a couple of my 2 cents on a couple of tips of good design, which I feel every creator should be conscious about whenever you are creating something. Then, as I said, I will be using the tool to create a sample design. I will show you how to save a file. It will seem very simple. How do you save a file? You just do control plus S, right? But it's a little more detailed than that. And I want to answer a couple of questions around saving a file with PowerPoint, which is why I have sort of given this particular aspect its whole section. Because saving a file and knowing how to save a file in the best way is very important in PowerPoint. And if you don't do it right, then there is a potential that you might mess up your final product. And in the end, we're just going to summarize just like we do in a regular Toastmasters evaluation. So, yeah, the tools, some tips, how we will use the tool, and how we can save a file, right? Moving on, now talking about the tool itself. Just a second. Okay. All right, so PowerPoint on its own, I'll just zoom out of the presentation. PowerPoint on its whole gives you a lot of different tools and functionalities which are present in the form of these toolbars up above, right? So you can see there are different tabs which have different tools. Now, usually I have seen whenever a user is using PowerPoint, they don't usually move beyond the constraint or beyond the restraint of this particular toolbar, which is the home toolbar, because essentially on a basic level this is all you need to create a presentation. But there is a lot that is also happening on these other tabs as well, which we will explore in the due course of this session. So very first indeed is the home toolbar. You can see that everything is sort of not clickable right now, but the moment that you click on your container, the text, everything sort of comes to life. So you can see that a basic text editing, text formatting, you can, these are a couple of things which have been sort of picked up from the other toolbar. So you can create shapes, you can arrange your icons, and you can do basic editing. So this is your home toolbar. Then your insert toolbar, basically, as the name suggests, you can insert different elements into your PowerPoint presentation, into your slide, or into whatever design element that you are creating, right? So it's very self-explanatory. You can put pictures, you can put clip art. So Microsoft actually gives you a repository of images. You don't even need to Google. You can just go to the clip art option. If you don't have internet on a bad day, then this can be your savior. You can put your own photo albums, shapes, different shapes, so many shapes. There are lots of shapes. And word arts, equations, which we are probably not going to use today. Design basically gives you an overview as to how you can change the visual of your slide. So you can see there are so many templates that PowerPoint gives you from a design perspective. I've never used any of them. But yeah, there are different templates which PowerPoint gives to you for designing. You can alter the background settings. You can change the look and feel of your background to suit your needs. We will explore more about it in detail. Now, these three tabs, transition, animation, and slideshow, we will talk about in the next Tuesday tuition, because these three are concerned with creating presentations, creating something which is not static. Today, we are just going to use the tools to create something static. These three tabs I will talk about in detail when we are actually creating a PowerPoint presentation, right? Next is the review tab. So review is basically, I've never used this, I'm not going to lie, but you can do spelling checks, you can do your research check and make sure that everything that you put is correct. Never actually use the tool, so I'm not going to talk as if I know what is happening over here. But yeah, from the look of it, you can add comments. So if you have to send this slide to review, then anybody who's reviewing your content can actually add comments to it, just like we do in Microsoft Word as well. The view tab gives you, again, this is not something that I use very often, so but it gives you the functionality to view your presentation in different ways and in different styles. So you can view it all together, you can view it in grayscale, black and white, and you can arrange or dearrange the content. This is also more from a presentation standpoint, in my opinion. The last tab you see is called format. Now, if you see, there is no tab called format right now on the top on the header. But once you actually click on individual elements in your presentation, is when this tab magically opens up. And I believe whenever you're designing or creating something, this is going to be your most useful tab of all, because it gives you options. So format tab is basically giving you the functionality of altering individual elements within your container. So this is your individual element and you can change the way it looks, and you can change the way it is the colors, the alignment, the arrangement, the sizing. There's a lot that you can do. This is the format tab that comes up whenever you click on a text or on a text container. If you click on an image, for example, there is a heart over here, it's an image file. So if I click on this and I go to format, you can see that there is a different toolbar that comes up, which is more in regards to editing or formatting an image file or an image. So there is a lot that you can do over here, and I will explore all of this in detail when we actually start creating something, right? And that is going to show you how well you can utilize this. And this is perhaps my most favorite tab because I use this the most whenever I am designing something. So these are the different tools and different things in PowerPoint besides the regular things. And we will explore as to how you can use them to the best when we are actually creating the presentation. Now, as I said, I will offer my 2 cents on how you can create a good design. Okay, these seem to be 4 cents. So my 4 cents on design, very simple points which I feel should not be overlooked whenever you are designing something. Number one, obviously, never underestimate the power of simplicity. That is, however, see, in design, the whole purpose is in the end, you have to make sure that your message or what you are trying to convey shines through your visual product. And that is only going to be possible if you try to keep it as simple as possible. So I would suggest, I usually see it's an automatic urge that when I see so much empty space on the right side, on the bottom side of my slide, I automatically have an urge to fill it up. But blank spaces and negative spaces on its own are not supposed to be underestimated because they give more opportunity for your actual elements to shine. Never underestimate the power of simplicity. Number two, and a very important tip in my opinion, be frugal with your color and font choices. Frugal in very simple terms means conjuice. You have to be as conjuice in usage of your colors and fonts. Now, whenever I, as a designer, completely, I, as a design person or somebody who creates something, completely relates to this sentiment that whenever I open up the color palette, which is offered in front of me, I automatically have this urge out of excitement that, oh my God, I want to use every single one of these colors. But honestly, that is not going to yield in the best possible result because, as I said, you will get that urge and you will get that urge to use as many elements as possible. But in the end, you have to remember that your design is not about how many colors you put into it or how many colors there exist in the spectrum or how many fonts Microsoft Word has to offer to you. It is all about making sure that your message, or putting it in Toastmaster words, your specific purpose shines in the end. So if you can see over here in this color palette, I'll just make it a little bigger visibility. If you can see in this color palette, there are different gradients which are circling all across this one hexagon. So if you can see, this particular triangle has more blues. This particular triangle has purples and violets. This particular triangle has your oranges and magentas. This triangle has your yellows, oranges. Sorry, this has got pinks and magentas. What am I saying? This particular triangle has got your yellows, your oranges, your reds. Here you have more of your greens and your sea colors, which are sort of merging in with the blues. My 2 cents will be to make sure that you are picking colors from this same gradient range, because what that is going to do is it's going to give uniformity to your design. Or if you want, do not exceed maximum three colors. So I choose one from this spectrum, one from this spectrum, and one from this spectrum, and I'm done. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need anything more than that. And that's in an extreme case. Three is an extreme case. I would not recommend exceeding two. You can choose contrasting colors which sort of blend well against each other, and see how you can play around with colors to make sure you get the best possible result. But make sure that you restrict your usage as much as possible, because that is going to make sure, again coinciding with point number one, that your design is simple, it's effective, and it conveys what it needs to convey, because that in the end is the purpose of your design, right? Same with fonts. If you can see, this whole page, or for instance this whole presentation, has only one font, because that's all you need. Maximum, I would suggest in a design, two fonts, not more than that. Two is enough. You don't need more than two. Point number three, alignment is king. Now, whenever you are creating a presentation or whenever you're creating a design, you always have to make sure that not only are the individual elements aligned against the margin of your container, but that they are also aligned against each other. For example, in this case, if you see, this is my title and these are my bullet points. The way that they're aligned against each other is simply enough for me to know that this is my title and these are the bullet points. So in a very similar way, when it comes to visual design, you have to make sure that your key elements are well aligned to make sure that whatever needs to be highlighted is highlighted and whatever needs to be on the back seat is on the back seat. Number four, and very important, take double measure to make sure that everything is visible. There are instances where I've seen in designs that either when the background is too noisy, when there's a lot happening in the background, and you've put text on top of that background, then it often happens that the text loses its visibility amongst the background. You have to make sure that either your background is muted to an extent or that your text in itself is strong enough to shine against a very noisy background. Similarly, you have to use contrasting colors to make sure that your elements which demand visibility or your elements which need to be visible in the end are visible. So these four tips are very pertinent to designing flyers in Toastmasters because that's what most of our design collaterals are, but they are valid for everything. So whenever you are designing something, whenever you're creating something, you have to make sure to keep it simple. You have to be frugal in your color and font choices. You have to make sure that everything is aligned in the optimum way, and you have to make sure that everything is visible. With those things and tips and tricks in mind, let us now jump into creating something. I will create a sample flyer. Please do not expect it to be a very amazing design. I'm going to be frank right off the bat because I'm going to be creating something on the fly. So you can imagine maybe I'll be a little scampering all over the place, but my aim is to make sure that by 8:45 around we are done with creating that something so that I can show you the functionality and tools because that is something that we are going to focus on more. Let me have a look. All right, so we have a good amount of people who have joined in. Hello, 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 everybody. So good to see so many people. And I hope you are ready. Now we will jump into the design part, that is making sure what we create actually aligns with the thought process that I am talking about. Okay, so let's create something without any much wastage of time. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open a fresh PowerPoint file. Now, as you can see, I am a very outdated person. I am using Microsoft PowerPoint 2010. So anything that you are using is probably either equivalent to the version of 2010 or better than that, which means that you will either have equivalent number of tools and functionalities or something better than that, which means that you will either create a design which is equally decent to mine or something better than that. So keep those things in mind because I am using the most basic version because, as I said, I'm an outdated person which uses outdated tools. So you have to make sure that whatever you are using is either this or better than this. What will you make sure it will definitely be better than this? So that is going to be the first objective, right? So with that, now we have a blank presentation in front of us, as you can see. This is what will open up when you open a window of PowerPoint, right? Now, the first thing that I'm going to do that I love to do is I'm going to delete these two boxes because I love creating my own templates and I love creating my own designs. So the very first thing I did was I deleted my elements, okay? So October, November are usually birthday season months, which means that a lot of birthdays are going to come up in these 2 months. So let's create a sort of a template wishing somebody a very happy birthday. Okay. And that is something probably you just have to replace the photo and you can use it for any friend or anybody that you have to wish them a very happy birthday. Okay. I am not going to be, I mean, this is not something which is, strictly for Toastmaster purpose. You can wish birthday to any of your friends, which is why I'm not necessarily going to be following the branding guidelines. In fact, if you would like to see something around the branding guidelines, designing around the branding guidelines, we actually have an ongoing PR campaign running on branding guidelines, which means that you might have something coming up on those lines. But today, let's just focus on creating something using PowerPoint. So as you can see, the very first thing I did was I deleted those two containers, right? The next thing that I'm going to do is, you can see I have switched to the design tab. I'm going to go on my option which allows me to alter the dimensions of this container. Okay. I wanted to be a square because I feel a square will be the best way to keep uniformity across my design and to make sure, because I don't have a lot of information to convey. So a square is just going to do the job. If I'm using something which is very wide in width or very tall in height, I'm usually using it for the purpose that I am going to insert a lot of information. But since today I'm just wishing happy birthday to somebody, so I will make sure that my container is going to be of a decent size. So you can see I went to page setup. I set the width is 10 inches and the height is 10 inches. I've gone for a custom size. So over here, you have different options which can make sure that you adjust your slide to different dimensions. So you can select, for example, if you are going to be printing something, the best possible dimension to go for is A4. And you can also change the orientation. You can make it landscape or portrait, which means vertical or horizontal. We are going to stick with horizontal. And as I said, I am going to be selecting my own custom dimensions, which means I'm going to go with a 10 by 10 frame. Okay. So I have created my background. Now on this background, the next thing that I like to do is I like to color it. So I am going to be, there are so many templates that PowerPoint has for you to offer, and I do not recommend, or I rather would not suggest probably creating everything on your own from scratch. But since I am a person who loves to torture herself in new ways, so I am going to create something from scratch. But anyone is free to use any of these templates for your design if you feel that they serve the purpose. There is a plethora of options offered by PowerPoint. And not only that, in those plethora of options, you can also go ahead and change the colors of your template to best suit your purposes. You can also create a new thing. This is actually kind of nice. I like it. Okay, not to divert, I am going to still create my own template. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set a background. Okay, so I am going on this option called background styles. I'm going on format background and I'm going to color the background of this slide. Okay, so I'm going to select a celebratory color. So something which is bright and vibrant. Let's go with like a nice Basant Panchami shade, like something like a nice yellowish, reddish kind of. I mean, we'll see, because I am creating this from scratch. So we'll see where my thought process leads me. Or maybe a blue, How about a blue? I love blue. Blue is one of my favorite colors. Okay, so okay, no, this one is, I don't like it. I'm gonna go a little lighter. Okay. Okay, how about that? Oh, I don't like it. Wait. Something a little more pastel. So I suggest, I think I will go lighter on the shade. Okay, that's more like it. I like that. Okay, so we have a base, right? We have a base to work with. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to evoke the power of Google. And my elements that I'm going to be using, I'm going to be Googling things. I'm going to be putting them on top of this particular slide. Okay. So, okay, this is very, I mean, this is like screenshot with screenshot with screenshot with screenshot. It really confuses you. Okay, so I have Google open in front of me. And I am looking for a polka dot theme. So I am just going to go to Google and I'm going to Google polka dots background PNG. And I'll explain what I'm doing. So if you know, there are different image files which exist. One format is obviously JPEG, JPEG. One format is called PNG. Now PNG is an image format which gives you a transparent background. Okay, as it says over here, transparent. And a transparent background gives you the freedom of putting your background against anything or putting your object against anything which has probably a different color or a different background. I'll show you what I mean. And how you can identify that an image is a PNG image, I'm not sure if you can see very well, but behind these dots, if you see, there is a grid. Let me just zoom in on my screen. Behind these dots, there is a grid, and the grid has black, white, and gray boxes. That is how you can distinguish that the image actually has a transparent background, which means it's a PNG. I'm simply going to copy this image and I'm going to paste it on my background. Okay, so you can see that this is not an image with a solid background, which means wherever I move it, it is going to blend with the background. It is going to blend with whatever is behind it. Okay, So this is my image. You can see that the contrast between the image that I have put is very high in comparison to the contrast with the background. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to enlarge it and show you that I want to change its color. Okay. So I'm going to double click on the image. The format tab is going to open up. I'll go on color. Okay. You can see there are different templates of various colors. So you can see if I set it to a gray, it offsets much better against the background, which means it's going to blend much better with the background. I want to go for a blue shade. As I said, I'm going to use colors from the same palette. So I am trying to go for a light blue. I cannot find a light blue. So there are different colors over here. I found a dark blue. I am going to go on corrections. So corrections basically gives you the freedom of altering the brightness and the contrast of your palette. So I went to corrections. I'm sorry if I'm being very fast. I'm going with picture correction options, and over here I see the options of increasing the brightness. So you can see the moment I increase the brightness, the color is becoming lighter, and I want it to be a very subtle light blue because I wanted to blend with my background, because these polka dots are actually going to be a part of my background. Now the purpose, you can simply find a background with blue polka dots, but the purpose of me showing this to you is to show the different functionalities of PowerPoint. I repeat. Okay. I feel these polka dots are very big, so I'm going to size them down. Okay. And I feel that's perhaps a good size. And I'm simply going to copy this same thing and paste it to make it into a mosaic so that I have the same print going all across my slide. So you can see I'm just copying and pasting the same thing all across my presentation. Scroll a little up. Okay, you can see that kind of looks perfect. So I'm just going to center it out, make sure that all of it is covered. Now you don't need to be concerned about these bits that are exceeding or sort of coming out of the container, because in the end we are only concerned with what is happening inside this square. Okay. Now for ease of operation, I have 4 of these images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click. I'm going to select this option called group. What that is going to do is it's going to make it into one single image, which I can easily move around with all my elements. So I have covered my background, and for a view as to what my final product looks like right now, I can just press F5 and enter slideshow mode, and it shows me what my end product is looking like, right? And I'll just make sure that I align it a little. Now I still feel that the contrast between the background and foreground is very high. So what I'm going to do is I'm again going to go to design, and I'm going to change the color of my background to make it something which resembles this polka dots a little more. It's very powder blue color. Okay, that looks better, doesn't it? Make it a little darker. No, that's too dark. Okay, so the color that okay, that looks interesting. The color that I think this is the best. The color that I'm going for is probably a little darker than this. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. So if you can see once again, this is my background. It took me 5 minutes to make my background. It does not need to take you that much time. As I said, I am very outdated. I love to torture myself in new ways. But that being said, I also like to give myself the freedom of creating my own content, which is exactly why I am giving so much time into creating my own design. Okay. So this is my background. I was feeling very polka dotty, so I created a polka dots background. Now, one thing that I want to put is a couple of streamers or something. Just see. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody who's just joined in. Okay. Continuing. Now we have a background. The next thing that I want to do is I want to make this look a little more celebratory. Okay. Since it's going to be a birthday poster. So for that, now, as I said, PNG is something that you append against your text if you want the result to be of PNG format. If I will not put PNG, then there is a very rare chance that I will get an image which is of PNG format. And I needed something which had a transparent background. Now I want to put a couple of streamers. Streamers are basically your puntings and your, these decorative things. But again, I want to make sure of 2 things. I want to make sure that it's a vector image. A vector image is basically a digital image, digital counterpart of a real object. So just as an example, if I put the word car, then there are images of cars that are going to come up. But if I'm going to append the word vector against car, then there are digital images which are created online which are going to come up which are still cars, but not real cars. And if I put car vector PNG, just to see, I've already done this. If you put car vector PNG, then you are going to get images which have a transparent background, which makes sure that you can put it against something which will give you the functionality of moving it around. So in a very similar fashion, I want to put a couple of streamers. So I'm going to Google streamers. Okay. I want to put these flag things on the top of my flyer. So I'm going to put streamer flag vector PNG. Let's see what this gives us. Okay, we are apparently getting a flag of Germany. Why is that happening? Okay. This is not a PNG. Okay, what just happened? Okay, this is not a PNG. This is a PNG. As you can see, it's got that transparent background. This is cute. Okay, I like that. But you also have to make sure that you're selecting something which has good resolution. The resolution of this is 333 by 133, which means it's going to be a very small image, which is not going to look at all nice. See, this is 8000 by 2578, which means it's good resolution, which means it's going to look good against whatever you put. I'm trying to look for something which is, I'm going on view mode. I'm trying to find something which serves my purpose. Oh, I like that. Wait. This is a PNG. See, there is that background. I like that. I hope it's a PNG. Oh, yes. Awesome. So we have found our streamer. So I'm just going to put it against my image. So you can see the image is of such good quality that it came in such a big size, but we don't need it to be such a big size. I just simply double clicked it. It came into format. I'm going to put the height as 3, which will give me something a little better to work with. And I'm going to increase the size of this streamer. Okay. And I'm going to place it a little on the top. Okay. Because again, you do not need to worry about whatever is coming out of this container, because in the end, your end result is only going to be what is inside. Okay. So I am going to stretch it out a little, and just to fill up the space. So this is what I have. Just to fill up the space, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of the streamer, Control C, Control V. Okay. I'm going to rotate it horizontally. I'm just flipping it. And I'm going to put the same thing once again. So what that is doing is, with the same image file, I have sort of created something which looks like this. I don't really like how that looks, but okay. Just probably increase the size a little bit. Okay. I don't like that these flags are overlapping in the center, this blue and blue. What can we do to solve that? Okay, fine. It's a little, probably increase the size a little more. As you can see, I am very experimental. Okay, I have an idea. What if we rotate it? So you have an option of rotating the image also. You can see I'm completely working on the fly. I am as confident as one is when you're designing something, because, okay, so I've rotated the image and I hope it gives me a better result. Okay, fine. You know what? We just have to live with it. We don't have a choice. I don't like this overlap happening in the center, but oh well. Life cannot always be the way that you want it. Okay, so this is our product till now. Okay, so we have a couple of streamers. I did not promise it to be pretty. Okay, so I'm just working with something, creating something which serves the purpose of understanding how I'm using PowerPoint as a tool. So you can see I've created my own background. You can just simply Google and create a background. But again, my purpose of showing this to you is to make you understand how we can use PowerPoint as a tool. Okay, now after this, what I want to do is I want to put a picture of a person whom we are wishing happy birthday. So for that, we are just going to look at some stock images. Okay. So we'll select some random gentleman and we will wish them a happy birthday. So I'm just going to Google, do we want it to be a boy or a girl? You know what, actually? Maybe, okay, let's put a stock image for now. I'll Google person stock image. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, so we've got people. I'm just going to use a stock image of whoever seems to be very happy. Like we'll put a happy person, because obviously you should be happy on your birthday. Oh, I like that. It's holding a piece of pizza. I like that. We're going to use that. Okay, so this is our person. Okay, this is our person whom we are going to wish a happy birthday. So he's already very excited about his birthday. He's holding a piece of pizza. So this is the person whom we are wishing a happy birthday. But as you can see, there is a lot of white space over here, which is unnecessary, which is sort of not blending with the background at all. And is just, you just want to get rid of it. So what do we do? How can we do it? So one option, one solution is obviously you should use PNG images, that is images like this, to make sure that you get the best result. But if you struggle, for example, if you have a real-time friend to wish, obviously it will be hard for you to find a PNG image of that friend, right? They're not a stock image character. So what you have to make sure is that you get an image and then you double click on it, you go in format, and you have this magical button called remove background. Now, what that is going to do is that you have this opportunity of selecting a container where you can select the area that you want in your final image. And all this pink area has been smartly selected by the wizard of the remove background functionality to make sure that all of this gets deleted. So over here, you can see all the part which is in color is going to be a part of my final image, and all the part which is in pink is automatically going to be deleted once I press this button. Ready, set, magic. So this is the magic, okay? And using this magic, you can actually convert your own images into PNG files with transparent backgrounds. But here's a catch, okay? There's a bit of a catch over here. Now, this is a feature which is primarily there in a tool called Photoshop, and it's a very strong feature, but it often happens that this is not the most accurate feature in your palette, which is why you have to make sure that you're selecting an image, for example this image, where there is a good contrast between the background and the foreground. You can see the whole of background is white, and the foreground, which is the image of the person, is actually offsetting or contrasting very well against the background. I'll give you an example. Now if we select an image where the background and foreground are not so, I mean, outstanding, that you can see over here, the background, there is a grays, the foreground also has the person's shirt is gray, this pillow is also gray. So let me copy this image and see how well we can crop the background from here. It's going to be a challenge. So this is the image, okay? And again, I'm selecting, double clicking and going on remove background. You can automatically see that there is so much mess over here that it's selecting something, it thinks that this is also a part of the foreground, and this part which is gray and the person's color is also gray, so it's sort of a mess. So you have to make sure that you're selecting an image. Now if I keep changes over here, you can see the result is just a mess. So you have to make sure that the image that you're selecting has good contrast of the background versus foreground. Now, again, I'll select this feature. Now you have these two markers over here. So I can select this particular tool and I can draw the areas that I want to remove. And then I can draw the areas that I want to keep. So I want to keep his face. So I can just draw a couple of lines on that. See, it is doing something, but in the end, I guarantee you the result is not going to be as clean. You can do a little bit of, I'll call this jugaad for the lack of a better word, but it's not going to give you as clean of a result, trust me. So you have to make sure that from day one, it looks very clean like this, but once you zoom into the image, you will actually see it's very blurry on the edges. So it's not going to give you a good result. And you have to make sure that you are selecting an image in the first place which does not give you a result which you don't desire. So that is my whole point of spending 5 minutes and explaining this to you. Okay, so you see we have our background, we have our celebratory streamers, we have our happy person. Let's give him a birthday hat or a birthday cap. Okay, let's have a little fun. So I'm going to go again, person stopping just done. I'm going to go and Google birthday cap vector. Let's go with the vector PNG. Okay. Okay, so there are some birthday caps and I'm going to select a PNG image. Let's select the most outrageous, like the ugliest looking at. Oh, that's pretty ugly. Okay, nice. So, okay, I'm just waiting for it to work. Okay, it's not a PNG, how sad. But you can see it's not a PNG, but still there is a good contrast between the background and foreground. So we can actually make use of our tool to crop the cap out. So you can see it's a very big image. I would always recommend to use numbers wherever possible. So you can see I'm not dragging and resizing the image. I'm just simply going to the number tab and adjusting its height, because what that is going to do is it's going to give you much cleaner of a result and much quicker actually. So always make sure that you're using numbers wherever possible. So again, I'm going to go to the remove background option. I'm going to remove the background from this image. It's not as clean actually as I anticipated. Okay. So once you remove the background, you get a result which is a birthday cap. So I'm going to put the birthday cap on this gentleman's head. There you go. Now he looks like a birthday boy. So happy birthday, the exciting person. And the next thing that we're going to do is obviously we're going to add some text. Now, PowerPoint is a great tool. It's a beautiful tool. It's a wonderful tool. But no offense to PowerPoint, the fonts are not the best looking. So I'll just create something. I'll enter happy birthday. Okay. And there are a list of fonts over here. I'll increase the size of this. Probably, yeah, 180 looks good. And I'm going to select this text and I'm going to go and there are so many fonts, but to be honest, they don't look very nice. I mean, they're not what I'm looking for. Okay. And especially when it comes to cursive writing fonts, there are not a lot of them. And whatever is there, it's just not. I personally, I mean, I wish they worked harder on getting better fonts. Okay, so now we are in a bit of a situation because none of the fonts are beautiful enough to do justice to our flyer. So what do we do now? Now there is a very good website where you can actually use fonts. Are people still there? 1 second. Okay. 46 minutes into the session. Okay, so what we're going to do is that I'm wishing happy birthday, but I am going to use a font which is not a font which is automatically available on the system. And I'm going to do that using a website called fontmeme.com. This is one of my favorite websites. You can see I use it very often. And the font I use most often is Amigo. It's a very cute font. So what I'm going to do is over here, you can see there are lots of categories of different fonts that you can pick from. And these different fonts, so for example, there is sans, there is serif. I'll show you the difference between serif and sans serif, just for, because these are words we encounter very often. What is a serif font and what is a sans serif font? What is the difference? If you see all the sans serif fonts, they're very clean in nature. If you look at serif fonts, they have these, all of them for that matter, they have these little projections coming out. These projections are actually called serifs. And the serif fonts are basically used whenever you are creating something a little more serious. For example, a newspaper. A newspaper article usually uses serif fonts. Sans serif fonts are more for the purpose of creating cleaner designs, cleaner, neater designs. So now you know what is the serif font, sans serif font, slab serif font. Slab serif has bigger serifs. Script is a font that I'm interested in. So I am going to open this tab. So you can see there are different categories which you can choose from. There's graffiti, handwriting, there is art deco, art, how do you even pronounce that? Nouveau. There is a lot happening basically. And I'm going to go with the script font because I want my text to be a nicely written, like a cute text. So you can see Magic Candy, it looks like a cute font. You just have to open the font and you have an option of downloading the font from here. And after downloading the font, it will get saved as a font file. I'll show you what it looks like. If I download this font, it is basically going to open as a TTF file. That's a text type, true type font file. And if I open this file, I can install this font. Just click install, that's it. It's the simplest installation procedure ever. And after installing, you can see the button is sort of become unclickable because now the font is installed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this file, save as. I'm going to save it on my desktop birthday. So now I'm saving it as PPT and I'm going to close this file. Okay. After closing this file, I'm on my desktop. Desktop looks so clean. No? I actually cleaned it for this session. Okay. I'm going to open the birthday file once again. I'm going to select my text. And over here, simply you just have to type Magic Candy. What's that the name of the font? Wait. What is happening? Why is that font not coming? Okay, so it seems like we have encountered an error. The font is not coming. Magic Candy, it's not coming. That's weird. So usually it should come, but I don't know why it's not coming. Oh well, okay. Sad. Oh, it came. Oh, awesome. So you can see the font has come. Now, I would not say that this is the most desirable font and that I'm very happy with it. But now that I have downloaded this font, I don't want to go through and download another font just for the sake of showing you. And you can just put happy birthday. You can increase the size. I want to make it like a nice 88 is good. I'm going to center align the font and I'm going to put it right here. So this wishes, and probably an exclamation mark is happy birthday. No, that is not good. Okay, happy birthday, right? And but you can see that the font sort of does not offset very well against the background. So what do we do? Number one, we can change its color. Okay, that like disappeared. We can change its color. We can make it a little darker. Oh, that looks nice. I like that. Or we can use the same color and we can set effects to the text. How do you do that? You go again on format, you go on text effects, go on shadow, and I want to make sure that it stands out a little better against the background. See, automatically, if you put a shadow, automatically it just elevates against the background and it looks a lot more presentable. It looks a lot more like it's a part of the whole process. Because you can see there is a lot happening in our background. So to make sure that your font actually stands out against the background, you can give it different effects. And you can do this for text as well. Another alternate to actually downloading and installing the font is you can enter text. Font name is very cool like that. You can enter your font or whatever you want in the form of a text, and it's going to show you a sample. The sample actually comes in the form of a PNG image. You can just copy it and then paste it. You're good to go. It just came in the form of an image. Isn't that cool? So it came in the form of an image. You can just make it bigger, make it smaller, put it anywhere. I've installed the font to show you, but this is what I usually do. I just take this because honestly, I'm never going to use this font after today. So just to show you how it looks like, I put my text. No, I'm not feeling this color. I want it to be a little darker. I actually like the darker color. So that looks decent. No, I'm not sure actually. Maybe something a little. So you can see I'm sort of playing in the family of the blue color. I don't want to put more colors because already the streamers are colorful. The guy's pizza is colorful. His cap is also very colorful. So whatever I can create on my own, I'm sort of keeping as muted as possible. Okay, so I'm going to stick to that actually. But the shadow does not look very good with it. So I'm going to remove the shadow. Shadow is just something I put to show you how it looks with the shadow. Right? So you have your text. Actually, I'm going to left align it. I'm going to put the pizza boy. So again, you can group these two together so that you can move them together. One second. Grouping them. Putting it a little low. Making the size a little bigger. Make it a 94. That's good. Placing it a little over here, right? And now I want to make sure that the name of this person I give in a font which is like a block font. So I'm going to use two different fonts. So I'll just take this container, I'll do a copy paste, and in the same, wait a second. Yeah, in the same container, I'm going to write down the name of this person. So let's call him, let's call him John. Right. So you can choose to stick to the same font, but I feel like putting a font which is more blocky in nature. Actually, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. So I'll probably, since we are Toastmasters, I'm going to select a Toastmasters font. So let's go with Kotlin. So that sort of gives you the idea that you can, I don't, okay, that you can put more text against fonts and create different combinations. I would not recommend using more than two. And as you can see, these two definitely don't go well together. I'll have to, it's a whole process finding fonts which go well together and finding elements that go well together. But this is basically a demonstration of how you can create your own content. So this is John and it says happy birthday. And we have just created a flyer for him in 20 minutes. Actually, I absolutely don't like how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and give it the same font which I gave my other text. I'm going to increase the size a little and I'm going to make it a different color. So I'm going to choose probably a darker color or a different shade. I'm sorry, this is not the prettiest flyer, but I repeat, I'm only showing this for the sake of showing what all you can do with PowerPoint. So, all right, that's wishing John a happy birthday. Let me see if what all we've covered. So, again, you have to make sure that all everything is aligned well against each other. So the text is sort of in the center, but it's aligned a little to the left to make sure that John has his own space to appear. Then your um, upper elements are sort of offsetted on the upper side. You can put a cake over here as well if you want to, but I prefer having empty spaces, so I'm going to leave it empty. You can also, there are a lot of options over here. So if I select a text box, you can change the way it looks. You can add shadows to it. You can also add glow to your text. That is, you can make it glow a certain color. Oh, that's actually kind of pretty. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to add a purple glow to the text. It's very subtle, but it makes a difference. So similarly, you can do a lot to your elements. You can change the way that your elements look. And in the end, there's another thing that I'll show you. So you can rotate your elements, alignment, as I said, you can change the size from here. And so yeah, similarly for images, you have this color feature, which gives you the freedom to change the color of your components. You have the correction feature, you have the remove the background feature. You also have an artistic effects feature, which can, so, okay. All right, that clearly does not work on a human being, but yeah, you get the idea. There are different effects which you can play around with. Now, you also have the option. So, there is just a little something else that I'll show you. I also like to use a lot of shapes in my background to sort of create whatever I want. And I feel shapes in PowerPoint are grossly underrated. So, for example, I have this shape over here, which is a diamond strike. Man, I'm running out of time. So, I'll wind this up in the next 2-3 minutes, and then we'll focus on creating how to save this file. So, there is a shape that I've created, okay? This shape, this particular one is called a diagonal stripe. So similarly, you have a lot of different shapes which are open for exploration or which are open for sort of doing whatever you want to do. I'm going to flip this vertically and I'm going to put it in this corner, and I want this to be a part of my background. So I'm going to resize it, okay, and I'm going to make sure that it's square. I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so this is a little stripe, and now I want to make sure that it blends with the background. So outline I'm going to remove. The shape fill is going to be again a very subtle color. So sort of something like that. And I'm going to make sure I'll right click and put it in the back, send it to back. Now what that is going to do is going to send it behind everything else to make it a part of your background. I'm still not happy with the color of the shape. I'll change it to, yeah, that looks nice. So I'll change it into something which actually works in this context. So again, I can take the shape, I can copy, paste, create a new copy. I can put the same thing for symmetry's sake. I can put the same thing on the top as well. So I'm just copying, pasting, rotating it, aligning it, and right click, send it to the back. And like that, you can create your own shapes and you can create your own designed elements. And it's all about playing and sort of making sure that everything comes together in the end. And you're not concerned with anything that's happening outside of this space. You simply have to go in presentation mode, and this is your final product. Okay, so our final product is ready. I'll go back to my slide. We have created something. So the next step is to see how you can save a file. Now, there are two ways to save a file. You can either go simply to PowerPoint, File, Save As, right, on the desktop itself, John's birthday. So, birthday underscore John, right? And you can save it as a JPEG. You can also save it as a PNG. Usually, PNG will give you a better resolution in comparison to JPEG. So I'm doing one thing. I'll save it as a PNG. I'm saving it on my desktop. I want only the current slide to be saved. If you have multiple slides and you click on every slide, if you save every slide, then it's going to create a folder where all your slides are going to be. So I've saved only my current slide, and I can open this file, and you see I have a clean image which has been saved. Now I can zoom in, I can observe and inspect my elements individually. And you can see John is very happy with this piece of pizza. And your design is ready. Now, as I said, it's not the prettiest looking. I actually don't like it at all. But Yeah, it is something. And my only aim is to show you how you can play around with PowerPoint and not waste your time by thinking about how I can make the design better. Okay. So this is one thing. This is one way of saving your image. The other way of saving your image is you can simply do Control A. You can right click and save it as a picture. But I would not recommend doing this. Now, usually why people do this is because if you see over here, if you zoom into this image very carefully, you will see that it does not have the best resolution. See, John's face is all blurry. The cap has a different resolution. The text has a different resolution. It's not the nicest resolution. Usually, when you do a Control A and a right click, save as picture, you usually get a better resolution. I would not recommend doing it. It's a very complicated procedure. So don't do it, but I'm just telling you it's an option. Okay. Now, a complaint, or rather a question that I often get, which gives people the reason to not use PowerPoint, is that the image that comes in the end is not of a very high resolution. So consider if I want to use PowerPoint for creating something which I can print in the future, then PowerPoint is not giving me the opportunity to have my file saved in the best possible resolution. Okay, this is a problem. This problem has a solution. Let me show the solution to you. What you can do is that you can alter the default settings of your Microsoft PowerPoint by going into your control panel, by going into your registry editor to be very specific, and you can change the settings. So I'll show you what. These are the steps, okay? I'm simply going to show you how to do it. So the complaint is that the end file's resolution is not that good. What you have to do is simply go on Window plus R, run, okay? In open, you have to type registry editor. So that is REGEDIT, okay? Now what that is going to do is it's going to open the registry editor of your system. Now the registry editor of a system is basically a place which stores different types of variables which are basically the key settings of your system. It is not something that you can just randomly come inside and play with. And I am following a tutorial which is offered on Microsoft Windows, which is offered on the Microsoft website, and that is how I know this trick. But I would not recommend you to visit this folder every single time or for whatever reason and just change things on your own whim, because that is probably going to disturb or distort your system in some way or the other. And you're going to take it to the repairing center, and the repair person will probably tell you that your motherboard is broken even though it's not, and you will have no choice but to pay 10,000 rupees. So do not mess with your registry editor. This is a step by step tutorial which you have to follow as I do the steps, and this is going to make sure that your end resolution of PowerPoint is as good as the resolution of any image that you can possibly create. So you have to go on registry editor. Over here you have five folders. Select the current user folder, that's your folder. In this, go to software. So you have different softwares. Inside software, go and select Microsoft. Inside Microsoft, you have to go and select Office. It's right here. Inside Office, so since I'm using PowerPoint 2010, I will select 14.0. If you're using 2013, you will select 15.0. And if you're using PowerPoint 2016, you will select 16.0. I'm using 2010, so I'll open 14.0. And in this, you have a folder called PowerPoint. Open that. And that, simply click on this folder called Options. And over here, you can see there are different variables which are created automatically by the system. Over here, you have to right click, go on new, and select dword 32-bit value. I know this looks like some rocket science, doesn't it? And over here, you have to give this a name, and that name is going to be very specific. So the name is going to be export. Let me just verify. Export bitmap resolution. That's right. So you have to name it as export. Okay, cancel. I'm going to delete this. Delete. Create it again. Yes. Right click, new 32-bit value dword, export bitmap resolution. This has to be word by word as I have written it over here. After doing that, you just have to double click on this and you can set it to a value. So you can select decimal over here. Decimal is your base. And you can put the value is whatever you want the final resolution to be. The final resolution in the value of DPI. DPI stands for nothing but dots per inch. Now you can set it as 300, 400, or you can just go crazy and set it to the highest value that you can possibly do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this to the highest possible value that I can with PowerPoint, and that's it. Now you have created a variable which is going to alter the resolution of your final image. Okay. So that's it. You can close the registry editor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save another copy. I'll just close this for sanity and refresh just to make sure. And I'll open PowerPoint again and I'm going to save this file again as birthday John version 2. I'm going to save this as a PNG. And let's see if there is any difference in our original file and this newly created file. It's taking a lot longer to save. So my original file, which is birthday John, is a PNG file with the size of 506 kilobytes. My new file, which is birthday John V2, is a PNG file with a size of 3.81 megabytes. You can see the difference. Now, if I zoom into this image, okay, the resolution, you can see how better the resolution is. You zoom in all the way and it's not going to blur. Let's see if John's happy face is still intact. Okay, John's happy face is still getting a little blurry, probably because the image that we chose was low resolution in the first place, but you can see the result is a lot better than what we had previously. And that, my friends, is how you make sure that your resolution is top notch. Now, this is something that I copied from Microsoft website. This is not a solution which I created. I'm not that smart. And this is something that you can easily find on Microsoft register in the website of Microsoft, and you can easily alter the resolution of your images using this. So that makes sure that whatever you create now, you can see that there is a myriad of things that you can create using PowerPoint. Using the different kind of resolutions, I'll just open this file up once again. Using the different kind of dimensions that PowerPoint gives you the freedom to offer. You can create something which is like a greeting card which you can print out. You can create like a brochure which you can print out. You can create ID cards. You can create anything with the use of PowerPoint. My only recommendation will be that make sure that it is within the size of A3. A3 is the double of A4. So till that time, you can be absolutely confident that your resolution is going to be preserved. But if you go beyond the size of A3, then because PowerPoint is not that strong of a tool that you can create images which are, like as big as the banners and standees that you see put up in our conferences. Not that big. That is usually created on tools like Photoshop and Illustrator, which is like a whole another tuition series in itself. But using PowerPoint, you have the freedom to create something which is of a decent size, like till the point of A3, and you will be rest assured that using these functionalities, you can get an image, an output which is going to be of excellent resolution. So these were a couple of tools that PowerPoint has to offer, which I just went through with you in the course of creating this flyer. You have to just look at your elements. You have to just look at your individual things which are a part of your flyer or a part of your design, and you have to make sure that you have the sensibility of combining different images, combining different items, using the best fonts, and that sensibility obviously develops over a period of time. So you always have options like Canva which are available to you readily, and Canva is a very strong tool because it gives you everything on a platter, it serves you everything on a platter. But the reason of why I've been through PowerPoint in such detail today is just because in the end, anything that makes your life easier, for example, Canva, is also taking an opportunity away from you to learn something new. And when you have a tool like PowerPoint where you can explore and experiment to the full capacity, it will always make sure that the learning that you have in the end is a lot more intense or a lot more immense than in comparison to what you will learn just by simply using Canva. That's just my opinion. And I feel that PowerPoint is a very strong tool like that, that it gives you the freedom of having a blank slate, creating your own templates, creating your own designs, and creating your own files, which you will feel immensely proud of in the end. So my recommendation to you would be, whenever you find the time, whenever you are on the course of creating something, whenever you want to create something for somebody, maybe you can try creating it on your own by using a tool, by using its full functionalities, and by using whatever its capabilities are. So with that, that ends this particular part. And I would like to thank you for bearing with me for this long and bearing with my stupid jokes and bearing with that very strange design that I created. I hope that the tutorial was of some value, of some use. There are a lot of options and a lot which is left for exploration. I probably just showed you about 30 to 40% of PowerPoint, to be frank. Not even 30 to 40%. I didn't even touch these three tabs. But the amount that I showed you should give you an indication as to how much you can explore and how much you can experiment with PowerPoint. And that really is going to help you in your design journey or your creative journey or whatever that you wish to accomplish. So thank you. Thank you so much. That brings me to the end of exploring the power of PowerPoint. If anybody has any questions, anything, okay. All right. So if anybody has any questions, so I see some comments over here. There's some inception happening because, okay. So highs and hellos and okay, yes, let's start. Hey, hello. All right, I got a heart. Thank you. Shrikant, give me a thumbs up. Shivangi is very pleased. Okay, Animesh says, I was looking for a font similar to the one used for displaying the word Ant-Man. I found it on fontmeme.com. So fontmeme is very useful if you want any, and this is all non-copyrighted. So you are free to download and it's all free of cost. So you can download as much as you want, and that really gives you the functionality of creating whatever you want. And yeah, Animesh, all font meme has all the popular culture fonts from Ant-Man to Naruto to, why did I say Naruto? That was so random. But yeah, so you get my point. You can create anything. Okay, looks great. Aditya is laughing. Disha is saying absolutely. I'm not sure. Okay. Venkatesh says, all right, I have a lot of support from Milan. Thank you so much. Vijay, hi Vijay. Keep going with the practice. Thank you. Wow, I had a lot of new learnings. You seriously made that with Yes, I did. It's not as pretty, okay, but it is something. So, yeah. If anybody has any questions right now, I'll just wait for a couple more minutes. Any questions, anything, any questions around whatever has been created so far, feel free to post them on this particular tuition window. We'll just wait for a couple more minutes. If you do not have any questions, you feel free to tune out, and bye bye. And I wish you have a pleasant rest of the evening. But yeah, I'll just wait for a couple of minutes and see if anybody has a question. If you have a question, just type it out. I'll be very happy to answer it. If you don't, then as I said, bye bye, Tata. And I'll hope to see you again soon. So in the meantime, I'll just close out these windows. It's a little bothersome. So you can see there is, with a combination of simply PowerPoint and Google, you can create a lot of new stuff, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of groovy stuff. You just have to know what to Google, how to Google, and you also have to know your tools in PowerPoint. All right, so Abhishek puts up a question. How do we see Canva versus PowerPoint? So Abhishek, as I said initially, see, honestly, I don't want to say it on a public forum, but I have not used Canva a lot. I am not a huge fan of being spoon fed, and that is what Canva does. It spoon feeds a lot of things to you, which sort of, it's like this, okay, that you have a matchstick or a lighter and you can just create fire using the matchstick or the lighter, or you have a couple of rocks and a stick and you can create fire with your own blood, sweat and tears using those sticks and the fire and the rocks, and that is going to give you a lot more satisfaction in the end. That is just what it is. Canva is modern, Canva is very helpful, it is amazing. I've used it, it's very flexible, it gives you a lot of functionalities, but it also gives you so many templates and so much that for a person like me who likes to learn more about designing, it just defeats the purpose because I don't end up learning anything. For somebody who's looking for creating something which is so beautiful, but also making sure that in the end, whatever you are creating aligns to design, and also if you want to save some time and not necessarily go through the nuances of designing, then Canva is going to be very useful for you. Anjali asks, I hope that answers your question. Anjali asks, when will we have a training on Canva? Canva, okay, Sanjana has already answered your question. Very soon, Anjali, sometime in November. So I'm sorry, Anjali. I'm not the best person for Canva. Shri Devi ma'am says this was amazing. Thank you so much, Arjuna. Thank you so much for bearing with me and staying with me all this while. And thank you for making this session as fun for me as it was for you. I hope it was. As I said, I wanted to conduct two sessions around this. So, in the first session, we explored how you can create things with PowerPoint. In the next session, I want to talk more about how you can present things with PowerPoint. So, in that session, probably what I will do is I will create a full PowerPoint presentation using primarily the tabs that we have used already, but also these three, that is transitions, animation, and slideshow, to show you just by using PowerPoint how you can create some of the most amazing presentations which will blow people's minds away, or at least I hope so. Okay, I personally use Coolers for color combination. Yes, that's very true. So Coolers is an amazing app or a website which gives you the freedom. I'll show you what it looks like. So Coolers, it's not .com, it's coolers.co. Coolers is basically a website, and this was introduced to me by my dear friend Shrikant Kevinap, who is another design genius in Toastmasters. So you have a generator over here, and it's very useful. See, number one, the number one place where you can get design or color combination inspiration, in my opinion, it's going to sound very preachy, but it's nature. When you look at a tree, when you look at a flower, when you look at different birds who have so many different colors, that really gives you an idea of the different color combinations that can exist. But if you want a quick fix, this is a very, very good tool. So these are different hexadecimal codes of colors. And so, for example, this is a blue. I can lock this blue over here. And so I'm locking this blue, right? And I can press space bar, and that will automatically show me the different colors that go with this color. And it's a very useful tool. Thank you, Abhishek, for pointing that out. It's an amazing tool. Okay, to add, LibreOffice Draw exists specifically for posters and a lot of other static flyers. All right, so Animesh has a little more nugget of knowledge to offer, that there is another tool which exists now. This was a session based only on PowerPoint. So in case if you have like a network failure where you don't have access to internet, you can probably use PowerPoint. Maybe this knowledge will be helpful. But yeah, there are a lot of tools which exist online. There is LibreOffice. I know for a fact there is Pixlr, which used to be one of my favorite tools when I used to use it. And yeah, so there's a lot you can do. But this session was basically focused on PowerPoint. All right, so if we don't have any more questions, any more comments, I would like to end this session. I would like to end this session by extending a huge thank you to the division team, which reinvigorated the practice of Tuesday Tuition. A huge thank you to our division Quattro, AVPS, and a very big thank you to our dynamic division PR team, which made this session happen. Thank you so much for the opportunity to help me present something which is so close to my heart. And I really hope you enjoyed this session. This recording is going to be available all throughout on this Facebook group. I hope maybe in the future it will also be posted on the YouTube channel of Tuesday Tuition. Thank you so much. Happy learning. And I will see you in the future where we will talk about how we can make our presentations more beautiful. So thank you. Have a good rest of the night, good rest of the evening. For people like me who are probably not going to sleep for another 6-7 hours, have a good rest of the night. And thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye. And I leave you guys to enjoy your dinner. I'm ending the video right now. Bye.